welcome to the One-Stop Co-op Shop. Today I'm going to do a solo playthrough of Wizards Academy by 3D Total Games, designed by Gregory Carslaw. So this game is a cooperative 1 to 6 player game. I consider it kind of like an adventure game. You are in an academy, you are students of this Wizards Academy, and you are trying to complete specific objectives. We're going to do the first scenario, which is trying to build golems. We're going to try and build golems into the 4 corners. So just like normal, I'm going to have 2 videos here. One is going to be how to set up the game and a little bit about the components, and then the other video is the playthrough. So if you'd like to just jump right to the playthrough, go right ahead. Otherwise, hang out and I'll show you how to set up the game. Still here? Great. All right, let's set it up. So here we are currently looking at the scenario book. This book is what you will use to determine which scenario you want to play during the game. There's, I think, about 8 or 9 of them. And we're going to do the first one, Golem Construction for Beginners. There's always a little bit of flavor text, and then down a little bit lower, it's going to show you some more stuff that I'll show you. But first, let me give you the flavor of the story. Demons are at the gates, trying to smash through the doors of the Academy and destroy everything inside. There isn't long before they find their way into the Academy. The only way to stop them is to create guardians capable of holding back the attack. Now, if you look over here, it tells you the win condition, which is the 4 rooms in the corners of the Academy each contain a guardian. Okay, and you'll see how that works when we set up the game. Also, you can see on here, it tells you how much starting mana you have. If ever you run out of mana, you lose the game. And then over here, you've got your spells, how to set up the spell deck, which we will be doing shortly. It also tells you how to set up the glyphs. It has some general setup, and then it also has how to set up your disaster deck and the progressions disaster deck. So I think first what we'll do is we'll set up these. So here we have a couple examples of spell cards. So this is a non-botched spell, and this is a botched spell. You can tell by the top here, the non-botched is yellow, the botched is red. If you have a spell that has these 2 different spots here, if your character is in a room that has this icon, or they have this icon on their card, they'll actually boost this spell, and this effect happens instead of this one. Otherwise, you'll have just the main effect of the card or of the spell happen. Okay. Some of the cards also, there's no possibility for boosting, and you'll see there's just a single effect and then sometimes a picture. So what we're going to do is in each level, we're going to put that one specific spell, so for level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then a random non-botched and botched spells, and then mess them up and place them on the board. I'm going to finish doing that and then show you how it looks. So once you have randomized all the spells, this is what your spell board is going to look like. Here is all the level 1s. Level 2s are these 2 rows. So level 1 are these 3 rows. Level 2s are these 2 rows. Level 3 is this row. And level 4 is this final row here. Now, how do you cast one of these spells, you may ask? Well, that's a great question, because how we're going to do that is use the glyphs. And you can see there's glyphs on the top and glyphs on the side. You'll always have to use 2 glyphs to activate any spell. But if I wanted to activate this spell, I need to use a level 1 glyph and a level 1 glyph over there that will activate that spell. Now, I have no idea what it is right now. It's not a bound spell. During the game, you'll be experiencing whatever spells you cast, and then you can bind them by going to the library and calling out their name and selecting where they are. It's kind of like a memory game. If you ever choose the wrong one, you're going to destroy mana, and you have to reshuffle all of the unbound spells in that level. So be careful. You really want to know where they are. But you'll see this board being used for the spells, and that's how we're going to determine when we use glyphs which spell we're going to flip over. Okay? So that's the spell board. So next, we are going to have to set up the glyph setup. Now this one tells us where to set the glyphs. Types 1 through 5 are put in random rooms, except for the Cursed Room and the Master Study, and then type 6 and type 7 are in specific rooms. So let's go ahead and do that so you can see how that works. Now, in order to set up the board, what we're going to first have to do is set up our Wizard Academy itself. So right now it's pretty blank, right? You don't have any rooms set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our tiles to set up the board. Now we're supposed to randomly do this. However, the outer dimension here is always on the outside of the board. So it's not even in the Wizards Academy in this scenario. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up. I'm going to speed up the video and you guys can see how this works. I'm also going to be placing hallways so you can see how it's set up. So are you ready? Go! There we go. So we have now set up the board, and you can see it looks much more colorful. All these rooms have different room actions. We've got a couple rooms that are really important that I'm going to explain to you. Otherwise, we'll just kind of go through them as we go. This mana crystal room is where we're going to start the game, and it is going to hold the 5 mana pieces that we need for the game. 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. And if ever these mana crystals are gone, we lose the game. So if we lose all 6. Here's the library. The library is very important, as that is where you're going to be able to bind your spells. Okay? So when you go there, you can take a room action and bind spells. Let's see, any other really important room in here? The Lost Room is not connected because there's no way to get in here except for by somehow finding a way to use spells to get in there. So you're going to see that. The other thing is, just so you know, rooms are going to be empowered and not empowered. And a room that's empowered means that you can cast a spell there, but that's because it's connected to the mana room. So you always have to see if you're connected to the mana room somehow. I think all these rooms, except for the Lost Room, is connected to the mana room. And the Lost Room, you actually is still considered to be empowered, even though it's not connected. Okay, now, because I was just telling you how about all these rooms have different room actions that you can do or different abilities, there's a really awesome reference sheet that's on Board Game Geek that tells you what each room does and what their effects are. I would highly suggest this if you get this game and want to play it. It's a very nice reference, and because you can see some of these rooms are upside down, and so other players might not be able to see it. Print this out. It is helpful. Okay. So with that, let's now figure out where we are going to place these. So these are going to tell us where we can collect these specific glyphs. If you remember, 1 through 5 are going to be random rooms, except for the Cursed Room, which is here, and the Master Study, okay? Then 6 and 7 are, in the Lost Room is 6, and out over here, off the screen, the Outer Dimension is going to be where the 7th one is. So I'm just going to put the 6th one here, and I'm placing the 7th one, this one, in the Outer Dimension. You just might not be able to see that. All right, let's get these in order. 3, 4, 5, and let's grab location cards for random. All right, so these are location cards, and I should probably have them facing the right way. There we go. We're going to be using this for any type of random effect that has to happen in this game, which includes setting up the board itself. So it's pretty cool. I really like these cards. They're multi-use. They've got ways, if threats have 2 different ways to go, you can flip these and they'll say number 1 facing one way, and that'll be the way it goes. So let's start placing the first glyph location. It is the laboratory. Let's see. Right there. So then this gets discarded. All right, number 2. Ooh, scrying chamber. Let's see, where are you? Oh, right next to each other. Nice. Okay. Number 3. Oh, the Cursed Room. We get to redraw. Number 3, Master Study. Get to redraw. Number 3, Planar Rift. Let's see. There we are. Ooh, they're all close together. That's what we want to see. Number 4, the Warded Room. That is the best room. I love the Warded Room. And number 5 is the Workshop. Okay, right here. Okay, so now we have set up the board. Now, we are going to come back to this in the playthrough because at the beginning of the game, we can move 3 different rooms wherever we want. So we can swap them. I shouldn't say wherever we want. We can swap adjacent rooms, or we could rotate a room 90 degrees. Okay? So, but that's how the board is set up. So we've just done the glyph setup. Now we're going to do the other setup. And this is easy. Place a guardian on the spaces with type 4 and type 5 glyphs. I'm going to do that off screen. You'll just see them when they come on. Pretty easy. Next, what we're going to do, and I'll scoot it up, is the disasters. Okay, so we're going to start with a specific set of disaster cards. We're going to start with the 8 active threat cards and 2 wild magic, plus 2 different level 1s, okay? And we'll show you how to set that up. And then the other thing we're going to set up is the progression, okay? We're going to set up the progression disaster deck, because if ever the progression disaster deck runs out and you've gone through your regular disaster deck all the way through, that's one of the other ways you lose the game. So it's kind of like a timer. So let's set up our disaster deck. All right, so let's set up the disaster deck as well as the progression disaster deck. So first, for the disaster deck, what you'll do is you'll grab all of the activate threat cards are going to look like this. They have rooms, and they just say activate the threats in those specific rooms. There's 8 of those, so we'll have those, and then there's going to be 2 wild magic cards, okay? These wild magic cards, it's hard to get in focus. There we go. These 2 wild magic cards are going to make any randomizing of any unbound spells on the level that you're at, the highest level. So you'll take those. That's going to make a total of 10 cards into your disaster deck. Then you're supposed to take 2 level 1s that are not the same. So there's imp invasions, troll invasions, water. So you see how there's 2 waters? So we can't have 2 waters in there. So I'll randomly choose 2 of these that are not the same, and they'll be put into the starter disaster deck. After that, we'll create the progression deck, which consists of 2 level 4s, 2 level 3s, 2 level 2s, 2 level 1s, and 2 level 0s. And they're going to go in that order starting from bottom to top. So I'll have 2 level 4s on the bottom, and on top of them the 3s, on top of that the 2s, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it's going to progress you through. So after you've gone through this disaster deck of 12 cards, you'll add 2 level 0s, and then it'll be 14 cards, but now you're going to have more effects happen. Then they'll go to level 1s when you run out of that 14 card pile, and you'll have 16. Okay, so that's how the progression deck and the disaster deck works. So there are a total of 8 wizards that you can play with. However, in this playthrough, I'm just going to use 3. I'm going to use 3 for my solo playthrough. They don't really have a suggested number for the solo playthrough. You can really decide what you want to do. You can do 2, you can do 6. I mean, it's up to you. Each one has its own benefits and negatives, and I'm not going to go into that because I want you guys to kind of learn as you play the game if you play it. So let's look at these 3 in detail. So here is Nyvetta. Nyvetta is one of my favorites. Up in the right corner, that tells you the type of icon that she brings, so her strength. So if she ever flips over a spell that has that icon, she'll automatically boost it. She also has a special ability that says at the start of your turn, you may spend a glyph to ignore all threats that affect but do not prevent movement for the rest of this turn. Pretty awesome. She's able to then go through things like if there's water on the board that slows you down, it's not going to slow her down. There's also the 4 areas, and this is going to be the same for every character. So there's going to be a shared area where you can share one of your glyphs, and then anybody can use it. You also have an area where you can make a wand. You have an area where you can make a staff and a robe. And if ever that happens, I'll go into that in detail. But essentially, there are different magical items that you can create. So that's Nyvetta. Next we have Malkar, and his boost is for lightning. And his skill is whenever you kill a creature with a damaging spell, gain 1 glyph of any type that another wizard possesses for each damage required to kill it. Last we have Irini. So Irini has a special ability, and you can see she doesn't have anything that she boosts. So she doesn't boost anything, but there's a reason. It's because whenever you cast a spell, you may use a 3rd glyph to boost the spell. This decision must be made before an unbound spell is revealed. So she has to decide before she actually casts it if she wants to just use a 3rd glyph to automatically boost it if able. And that would boost either a botch or a non-botch spell. All right, last but not least, game summary. So let's just talk about how your sequence of the game goes through. So at the beginning of your turn, you're going to play the disaster card that's on your player card. So at the beginning of your turn, you're going to automatically play a disaster card. Something bad's going to happen. Then you'll draw a new disaster card so you know what's going to happen next time it's your turn. Then you'll take your actions. You can take up to 3. Then you'll endure all the threats and then share any glyphs at the end of your turn. Okay? Take actions. You have a total of 3 actions, and we're going to play the advanced mode. So what that means is you have to have one of those 3 actions be a move action, and then you can either do move action and then 2 room actions, or 2 move actions, or 3 move actions. You can do as many move actions as you want. You're limited to only doing 2 room actions during a turn and only 1 magic action. And your magic action is when you cast a spell. Okay. Now, everything else on this player aid is to help you with how different things interact. And let me tell you, that is the best part about this game. All of the threats interact with each other. Fire, water, ice, trolls, imps, demons, they all interact. And that is the best part about the game, but it's also the most confusing. So I'm not going to read this to you. There is this awesome player aid that is on Board Game Geek that I use that's really helpful with this to know what do trolls do when they're activated, where do they move to, what do they want to do, all of that. But that's also on this player summary. And that, folks, is the setup for Wizards Academy. It's not the quickest setup game in the world, but it is a lot of fun to play once you get everything in the right spot. And I hope you guys are ready to send off some spells, some good, some bad. We'll see how we do, and probably lose. But hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough, and thanks for watching.